Bernstein Show. Here's Ed.
I'm here with Noel Bowman, and I got to be honest with you, we're at the 1923
Prohibition Bar, 1923 Prohibition Bar.
Because I came up in an elevator, right, and I was in an area with 4 walls, and I was turned to my left, turned to my right. This door was locked, that door was, they're all locked. I didn't know where I was going. This is, I guess, the best hidden secret in Las Vegas, right? I mean, but people somehow manage their way up here at the Venetian Hotel.
That's half the allure, is to find it, right? We don't have a storefront, and it's, speakeasies are becoming a thing. We've been doing it for 10 years, starting at the Mandalay Bay location, but there's so many of them popping up. I've got a quote that I use that the year is 2029. All of Vegas is a speakeasy, and nobody can find it.
Let me get this out of the way. So you have the 1923 Prohibition in there are 3 locations?
2 locations, one at the Mandalay Bay and one here at the Venetian.
Right. What do you have over at the Links?
At the Link, I have one of the ice bars,
right.
And I have a concept called DreamBox 360, which is an immersive theater, small, intimate, immersive, 360-degree projection theater.
And you have, of course, the
3 of the Minus5 Ice Bars, which we've been operating for about 15 years with our first location at Mandalay.
Right. And you're still there?
Still there, yeah.
Yeah. Which one do you want to talk about first?
I think we talk about maybe where it started with the ice bar at Mandalay Bay, if you will.
I was there. I was there the week it opened.
Were you?
I was there, yes.
Yeah. It was during the housing crash. Vegas had kind of hit bottom, and we found this concept, believe it or not, out of New Zealand. I have to give my business partner credit. Bob Sabas and his late wife, Janet Sabas, came across a little small ice concept in New Zealand. They kind of had the idea and the wherewithal to say, I've never seen anything like this. This could work in Vegas. And I remember at the time we pitched, Bill Hornbuckle was the president of Mandalay Bay at the time. And we pitched this ice concept, and they're like, who the hell wants to be cold? Who wants to pay to be cold? And
people are paying to leave the cold.
They denied us. And maybe it was the housing crash, or they had some real estate, and we got a call a few months later going, hey, you still have that ice concept? And we took a shot, and we didn't know what the hell we were doing in the beginning. It was really was ultra lounges were super popular, and bottle service. So we really had this high-end hybrid of this with caviar and high-end Russian vodka.
Right.
And we realized really quickly that no one wanted to stay in there for an hour and a half, freezing their butts off. And we quickly, we said, we're an attraction. We're not a lounge. But we're an attraction with bar and nightclub elements. And we pivoted quickly. Luckily got picked up by the Travel Channel, did a piece on us, and 15 years later, we're still going.
And you had a great location as well.
Absolutely.
at Mandalay, right on that
right up the escalators from the House of Blues and the shops at Mandalay Place. Right. And but there was nothing like it. We were immersive. That's a thing now, right? Immersive, and we were immersive before immersive was even a catchword.
Because that seems to be like the trend in Las Vegas now. I mean, look, the first question when you and I met was, how do I refer to the venues that you own? And how do you refer to them?
I'd say we're in the attraction entertainment business, more so with bar and nightclub elements, and as well as Instagrammable. Everything we do is vibrant, fun, looks great on camera, and people just can't wait to post, look where we are.
Is Las Vegas leading the country in this genre? I mean, with the Sphere and what you're doing, and there's some other, Area 15 is somewhat like that?
Certainly a hotbed, definitely one of the most cutting edge cities with it. There are the technologies, a lot of them are coming out of the Asian countries and the European countries, but we have the sheer amount of tourism and foot traffic to throw it off, and Vegas is very quick pace. People want to get in, get out. You can't even keep up with the pace. Social media and all the phone gadgets have programmed us to, we get bored so quickly. You have to just keep moving, right?
Let's talk about this venue, the 1923 Live. The name, 1923, I guess you could have picked any of a number of years. Why 1923?
Prohibition era, kind of that whole range. And we knew the speakeasy concept was kind of alluring. I mean, if you really think back to Vegas, I think that the mothership really was Foundation Room. Really wasn't built as a secret place, but had to go to an elevator. It was very exclusive, rich tapestries when you came in, and they weren't really yesteryear. They were a little more modern, but that's where it started. And we had a space at Mandalay Bay that we knew we needed a concept for, and we wanted the secret door and the hidden deal. Nobody could find it. What sucked about that concept, while it was really cool, we almost didn't make it because nobody could find us. Meaning, literally, if you really want to stay authentic to what a speakeasy is, you don't want to give it away.
Right.
You don't want to shout out, this is where it is. They need to have a little trouble finding it, if you will. And that proved to be difficult the first 2 years. What's the balance? But once people found it and it caught on and it really became a thing, boy, it just took off.
So here at 1923, you have some entertainment. You have drinks,
Yep.
right? A little bit of food.
It's
the entertainment is what?
Well, the entertainment, the Mandalay Bay location is a lot smaller than the Venetian, but equally great, and we have live entertainment at both. And when we built this one here at the Venetian, we took over the old Tao offices that were sitting here. We don't have a storefront. The only way to get here is by elevator. We call it, can you find the golden elevators? And you'll find us. So try to find the golden elevators. But I originally wanted to make this a convention space, a private event space, because Venetian is top dead center for conventions. It's the heart of where most of them happen, and the space was just sitting here. So we worked a deal with the Venetian and the Grand Canal shops, and we built it on purpose to kind of just be wide open. I don't even have a sit-down bar. Everything's happening cocktail style like you would on a casino floor. But I wanted it to be a really pliable space so we could do a lot of private events. Beautiful windows that look down. We hover above the Grand Canals where you see the gondoliers coming below you. Pretty exclusive space, but craft cocktails. But the live entertainment piece, I said, I've got this beautiful space. I can't let it sit empty on the weekends. And at the time, I read an article about a lot of lounges closing in a lot of the local casinos. They were closing down their lounges. A lot of these entertainers are such a plethora of wonderful local entertainers that, and I wanted to have a spot that they could play. And I went and found, I knew I wanted a magic show. So we have, both of our locations have this underground hidden speakeasy magic show. Super intimate, only 30 people. Everyone gets to participate. It's a secret room within the secret room.
Is that within a set time, different shows, or you can just
Yeah, we have 2 shows on Thursday, Friday, Saturday night at both locations, 7 and 9. The one at Mandalay Bay is called Ghost Stories. It's a very paranormal, mind reading. It's amazing. Kent Axel is our performer, and he's wonderful. I'm a partner. I like to partner with these musicians. I want to do a revenue share with them. I want them to share in the success that we do, and that was the important piece to me. The one here is called Leisure Domain, which means sleight of hand in French. These guys were on Broadway for a while, so it's legit, but it's 30 people. Everyone gets to participate, and some of the bits and the magic they do will just blow your mind away. And then on the live music side, here at this location, I was downtown, and I'm into music quite a bit, and there's a genre called yacht rock. It's just kind of popular. HBO just had a special on it.
And what exactly is that for?
Yacht rock is late 80s and early, late 70s and early 80s kind of radio hits. Smooth, from Christopher Cross to Michael McDonald to Doobie Brothers. And it was just a genre that kind of created itself, to be quite honest with you.
And is that a demographic that frequents?
Well, it's funny because when we had this 1923 speakeasy, I'm like,
Right.
What the hell does yacht rock have to do with a speakeasy? why would I want to consider that to be a residency here? Well, I knew it was hot. XM Radio's got a station dedicated to it.
Right.
HBO just did a special. And then I kind of clicked. I said, Grateful Dead at the Sphere, Grateful Dead, Eagles. At the Venetian, there's Styx and Foreigner, U2. That's the demographic walking around this place, right?
Right.
It's the 50s, but it's also very popular. My son is playing, he's 12, so he's on his video games and Fortnite, and I'm hearing all these 80s yacht rock songs. So it's kind of becoming a thing. The amount of parents bringing their 20-year-olds something in here to watch the show has been amazing. So found this band called the Docksiders. They were playing downtown, and reached out to Kevin Suker, who's the lead of that, and they tour quite a bit. And I said, hey, I got a spot at the Venetian. You wanna give this a go? And it's been wonderful.
Well, you grew up in the restaurant business, or?
I did. From New Orleans originally. I migrated to a little town in Florida called Destin, Florida, in the Panhandle. And it was just a super hospitable town. It cut my teeth cleaning up parking lots, 12 years old, $5. The bars.
Was your family in that business?
My father was in the dry cleaning business, but he had an incredible entrepreneurial spirit. I lost him when I was 40, and his words still ring true in my ear. I was with Outback Steakhouse for a long time. I moved to Tampa and started at the very first Outback Steakhouse in 1989, and I spent 20 years with that company, and it just blew up to be this big thing. But my dad would always come home for Christmas and busting my butt, long hours in the restaurant business, very intense, rewarding but intense. But my dad would say, why are you working for the man? You need to work for yourself. You're not gonna really make it until you work for yourself. And I just wasn't ready. There was things I needed to learn that Outback taught me, but since I've lost him and started what I'm doing now, that's the part that drives me quite a bit, is that entrepreneurial spirit that Dad had.
And how did you go about transitioning from when you left Outback into doing, being a partner and creating what you created here?
Good question. It's a little scary because you leave corporate America and you have this whole support mechanism and accounting and human resources and marketing. And I knew I'd been tired of it. And Outback had changed. It'd gone public, private, and it ran its course, if you will. The partnership program was kind of taken away, and so the entrepreneurial spirit kind of died, in my opinion. But I was fortunate. I said, well, I found myself in Vegas when this ended, and let me see what's going on in these casinos. And I got a job at Mandalay Bay right after the housing crash at a restaurant, and didn't last very long. And that's where I met my business partner, Bob Sabus, and he had just come back from Australia, and he said, he's older, he was retired, had a sense of business, and been in the hospitality business in his younger years, and met him at the bar where I was working at this restaurant. He was telling me the story of Ice Bar, and I was telling him my story of Outback, and he had the funds and the means, and I had the drive and the creative spirit, and I said, let me chew on this, and we had another partner at the time from Australia that we found the original Ice Bar gentleman, and that's what we started with here. And before you know it, we blossomed into one at Mandalay Bay, and then went down to Monte Carlo and took over the old Lance Burton Theater. Did another one there. It was hot, media was covering us. Wound up doing New York City, Cayman Islands.
But it was a big risk at the time.
Huge.
I mean, the idea of opening up an ice bar, where is the temperature actually -5? Is that
It's 23 degrees, yeah.
Yeah. So, and expect people to come in gloves and coats and sip, as you said, vodka and caviar, a big risk. And credit to you, because I was there when it opened, and I remember my first experience there, drinking vodka and had the caviar, and they gave me a fur coat to wear, and I can remember at the time talking to my wife and saying, this is a very difficult sell. and I guess there came a point in time where you recognized that, hey, this is a little bit too difficult, a little bit, high end, and very expensive, and you're not going to really attract people to be in an ice bar, for an hour and a half. Let's change a little bit of what we're doing. And what a great credit to you, because it's so hard to dream about something and then create it and see that it may not be working exactly the way you want, and to have to make some modifications.
The ability to pivot in any business, I think, is key, and even further than that, the ability to see that there's a potential problem, to have the vision to look 6 months down the road. And I realized it pretty quickly. The mantra was, how do we convince people to pay $25 to freeze their ass off? Then we kind of said, well, let's not take ourselves so seriously. We're a bit of a kitschy attraction, but it's so different because ice is perishable. It is always degrading and sublimating, right? So we have the ability every 6 months to completely make it different. It changes all the time.
And where do you find people to create these schools? How does that go? I mean, you're entering this world of an ice bar, and it requires ice sculptures by definition, right?
Yes, sir.
So how do you go about finding people to even do this?
I know more about ice than I ever thought I would need to know. Interestingly enough, ice is molecular. It bonds. It almost gets harder than concrete. So when we first tried to figure out not only forget the ice for a minute, how do we keep it cold? The things that we learned in the first 6 months is essentially, yes, it is a big freezer, but there's so much technology that we had to develop and get going. What we didn't realize, little stupid things like 20 bachelors come in on a bachelor party. What's the first thing they want to do? We never even thought about this. Coats come off, down to the boxers, and they're being guys. The body heat goes up 30 degrees, and all of a sudden it starts to get hot in there. So there were so many factors that we had to learn from of how to combat air. No one wants air moving on them, so we figured out a way to engineer getting the air to flow around and down behind the ice versus on the person. Yeah. And then ice itself, we were lucky enough to find a gentleman, one of the best ice carvers in the world, Peter Slavin. He's out of Philadelphia. And this is no joke when we come in and we have to load in 100 tons of ice. It is physical, hard. These blocks weigh 250 pounds each. We have to lug them through elevators down the long corridors of Mandalay Bay to reach to our spot from the loading dock. It is a very...
and you sculpt them on premises?
So it starts with the blocks.
Right.
We build the perimeter walls, like an igloo, if you will. And then from there, we just take, we put these all together, and then the chainsaws come out, and our concepts kind of start coming to life. Then we go down to chisels and find finite tools and Dremels, and before you know it, you've got a really cool ice sculpture. And in the beginning, it was just, pure ice, clear, celebrate the art of ice. And now the technology and the things that we can do using gels and colors and things that just pop three-dimensional pieces, pretty amazing. But it's always fresh.
Look, I know it's difficult enough to keep my freezer operating at home. I mean, there's got to be an incident, I'm sure, over all these years where power went out, compressor went bad. I mean, something must have happened like that too, right?
Multiple times. Humidity is a factor, but power is one. Thank God we're on the grid in these casinos. But when you have a catastrophic issue, which we've had, the good news is that it doesn't just evaporate. It's not just going to melt all at once. But it does have a slow drip. But the problem is that if you take a piece of ice out of your freezer and you throw it on your counter, it's very sharp. Looks great, but then it just starts to, So keeping these attractions fresh, chiseled, sharp, not dull, is a challenge all in itself. And we have teams that every day are in there, whacking away and just keeping them fresh.
Is the water that makes the ice, is it a special type of water or something, yes, we can use this, no, we cannot use that?
If you look, again, the ice in your refrigerator is probably just using tap water coming through your fridge. Very cloudy and very milky. A distilled water, purified water, and then the way these ice blocks are grown in these vats with aerated water. So it's always keeping the air and the bubbles out of it. So you wind up having this huge smooth, grown, clear, crystal clear piece of a block of ice to work with.
And what about, like, you need special glasses for the drinks, or does the glass break in cold temperatures? I mean, you must have run into a lot of these kind of issues, like, don't have to worry about my watch, my Apple Watch, when I walk in the room.
Thank God the electronics love the ice, so they love the cold. However, when you're bringing the ice in, all of our glasses or cups are made of ice. It's a one-time use. That's why most people come in, because they're drinking from this cup made of ice. And you know, I always say that until that ice glass touches your lips, the experience hasn't begun. And people want to post all that on social media. And those are expensive. Our most expensive product is this one-time use glass, which we go through a ton. And they're CNC'd on a lathe, but what we learned in the beginning was Vegas is 115 degrees. So when they come out of the freezer at the warehouse and they get delivered, and they're on a loading dock that's 110, there's something called thermal shock. Hundreds of thousands of dollars of losses until we figured out how to temper these glasses. So you really have to be careful on the heat. Another thing that we learned is you have a maintenance guy coming in to fix a refrigerator. Well, he's got a tool or a screwdriver or a toolbox that he needs to go up on, and it's been sitting in his truck all day. Well, he puts his toolbox on the ice, and it just melts right into the ice. So a lot of trial by error.
Well, can we take a walk up,
of course,
up there and check it out for ourselves?
Absolutely, it's a blast. It's a blast.
So this is kind of an atrium, right?
This is what we call our anteroom, where we get our bodies acclimated. We're going to go from 55 degrees to 23 degrees in just a second. And once we go through this door, 200 tons of ice. Took us 2.5 weeks to build, and we're constantly redoing it. So here we go. You ready?
Let's go.
Welcome to -5.
Whoa, how cool. I feel like I'm in an igloo. Wow.
Everything is made of ice except for the floor and the ceiling. Took us 3 weeks to do it. Each one of these blocks, 250 pounds, and we go block by block, brick by brick, and then we wound up doing the sculptures after the fact. This started to be a square block, chainsaws, chisels, finite Dremels, and before you know it, everything just kind of comes to life.
And how often do you change the sculptures?
I'd say every 4 to 6 months, there's always something new to see. Especially with ice being perishable, it always kind of sublimates and degrades, so we're constantly refreshing. But most people are up dancing, the music's going, the lights are changing. As you can see, we've got a $250,000 LED light show going on, and when the music gets happening, people are line dancing, moving around, seeing the different sculptures. We have incredibly interactive things going on. You'll see QR codes around that'll show you how some of the sculptures were built in time lapse. Always something entertaining happening within the ice attraction.
And we talked about this being very family oriented.
You know, we didn't in the beginning. We started off as adult, but we realized quickly that families are starting to come to Vegas more, especially since after COVID. The average age jumped right after COVID. So being family friendly is incredibly important. Kids get to come in here. We have mocktails. They love drinking out of the glasses made of ice, or we have hot chocolate to warm you up while you're in here. So it's a blast.
Joining us is Mark Siebman, and you look quite handsome in this white fur coat, Mark.
Thank you, sir. Very nice to meet you. Thanks for having me.
Now, you guys have been together, since junior high school, or even earlier, I guess?
Yeah, absolutely. I've known this guy since about the 7th or 8th grade. We've been partners here in Vegas for about 15 years now. Quite the story. He called me up. I was living in South Florida, and he was looking for some hands here in Vegas. I've got a wife and 3 daughters, and I was like, absolutely not. I'm not quite sure about that town, but came out, took a tour, looked around, fell in love with Vegas, fell in love with the concept, and it's been a great run. We've had a lot of fun with it. We've seen a lot of happy faces come through, and we think we're on to something.
Never thought you'd be involved in the ice business for 20-some years, right?
Yeah, who would have thought? I often tell people, You know, where else can you go from 105 to -5 within just a few steps in the middle of the Mojave Desert, you know? But here we are. It is kind of a crazy concept when you think about it, but it's just so unique that when people walk by, they're like, there's that ice bar. We've got to go. I've got to go. I've got to see this place.
You had mentioned something a year ago
Right.
that always stuck with me, that the lifespan of a Vegas nightclub restaurant, 5 to 6 years.
Exactly.
This ice bar has been going for 15. And I think that the magic sauce is because we're always changing it. It's always different. So that's a testament. I mean, to stand the test time, especially in Vegas. You know, so.
Look, you got to be able to afford the power bill, right?
Power and the ice. But, you know, we've had a lot of fun and good fortune along the way. It's weathered some of these economic storms and COVID and what have you. And we've got 3 great locations in town. We really do.
You have plans on expanding outside of Las Vegas? Any thoughts about that?
We tried for a while. We early on, we had from Vegas, our first stop was New York City, right in Midtown Manhattan. And it was great, phenomenal. We opened during a heat wave, and we had every media from Egypt covering us. We realized quickly, though, after we tried Cayman Islands, tried Orlando, but Vegas is the place. An ice bar in the middle of the Mojave Desert, what a better place, right?
Well, maybe Dubai for the next stop.
It happened. They've been asking.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're always redoing things, interactive games, tic-tac-toe. We're always putting new things. This is our Samurai, one of our latest deals, but always something to see, always fresh. Ice is fun. Just if you can dream it, we can build it, and we're just always having a blast on the creative side, trying to figure out what's next. So.
I wanted to ask you, what is the average length of time that somebody spends in here?
Most people will go about 30 to 40 minutes, some longer. We get a lot of guys that want to stay, and some of them get down to their boxers and have a contest of who can handle it. But for the most part, it's about 30 minutes.
And you start at what, 7-year-olds?
We start at 7-year-olds, plus kids are cool till 9 o'clock, and we have a really cool package that we're rolling out next week, as a matter of fact. We call it the Ultimate Polar Passport. So you buy 1 ticket, you get a VIP experience, 2 drinks, you get a ticket to the High Roller, you get a ticket to my new concept, the DreamBox, at the link, and then you also get unlimited re-entry to any ice bar on the Strip if you show your receipt within 4 days. So 3 experiences, 3 drinks, and unlimited ice bar entry while you're here.
And you will not get an icy reception when you come here.
We love to have you. We're kind to everyone.
Well, Noel, it's the beginning of the year, so hey, let's have a toast.
Cheers.
2025.
Nice having you.
Cheers.
Dreams you can't hide. 1923, Prohibition era vibe. Class in the glass, straight sipping high tide at Bernstein show. Interview so fly, Venetian delight, reaching for the sky. Vegas life, it's a wild ride. From shows to bars, take it in stride. -5, chilling cold inside. DreamBox 360, dreams you can't hide.